Before we begin the episode, I would just like to thank our sponsor, Chin Up Goggles, the latest vision restriction sport training aid. They are scientifically proven to help players play heads-up football. Check out their scientific papers and soccer-specific webinar on their website www.chinupgoggles.com, and you can find them on their social media at chinupgoggles, which will be linked in the description box below. Welcome to the Sideline Live podcast. Subscribe for more episodes and follow our social media at the Sideline Live. We'd love to hear from you. On episode 26, I'm delighted to be joined by Jill star Saoirse Noonan. On this episode, we had a really interesting chat about her career, her choice to focus on soccer and step away from inter-county football with Cork, her mindset, and much, much more. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Hi Saoirse, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks a million for having me, Orla.
Can you give maybe a bit of background for the listeners who don't know who you are?
Yeah, so I'm Saoirse Noonan. I used to play with Cork City Football Club and known from playing with Cork LGFA, and I've just signed with Shelbourne up in Dublin in the Women's National League.
Very good. So we're going to get into all that, but I suppose going back to your roots, why soccer and football? I know you played a bit of basketball growing up as well.
Yeah, look, from a young age, basketball had a huge commitment. It was nearly 3 or 4 days a week, whereas soccer and football was kind of more 2 days a week. Mm-hmm. So I kind of said I'd rather play two sports than one, and that's kind of how I fell into camogie or Gaelic football and soccer. And I did play a bit of camogie then in the meantime when I was doing that as well. So kind of, I suppose that's where my choices came from. I suppose I wanted to play more than just one, and the basketball was very time consuming, so I chose the two of them, and then I was able to do a bit of camogie as well, which is nice. Yeah,
you weren't busy then to have an extra camogie as well. Like Jeannie Mac, you didn't have it easy for yourself growing up.
No, I used to love it. Look, Saturdays there, I'd go out in the morning and play Gaelic football, drive to soccer, and then you could have a camogie the next day, or even that evening. There was a few weeks I'd play 3 games a day, and it was just fed into us, I suppose, from a young age, and I loved it. I thought it was class going from game to game, and that's what you want to be doing.
Exactly, yeah. When did you start to get involved with the likes of the development squads with soccer and with ladies football?
About, I'd say 12. So I played with boys the whole way up until under 12s. Okay. And then I went and joined the girls against my will, I suppose, in a way, because I was so friendly with all the boys. But look, these things happen and you have to go do it. And from under 12, I suppose there's development squads at the Cork Women's School Soccer League, and then you have the Cork GA with Charlie McLaughlin and stuff, and he'd be in primary schools as well, watching kids, which is, I think, is really important, because obviously if you have a coach that is involved with the Cork teams, you know, and he's telling you what to do week in, week out, use your left leg, right leg, it's very important.
You're going to listen. You're going to listen to him rather than your teacher.
Like, he could be picking me next week in a camp, so if I listen to him, I'm going to be up there. So from about, I'd say 11, 12 years of age, I was straight in there.
And how did you balance everything? Like, I know when you're younger, you were saying going to the 3 games a weekend, but when it starts to become that sort of development, you know, people are pulling at you, you know, you need to be recovered and rested and all this. How did you balance all of the training and the matches?
Yeah, I think being young, I don't think like recovery isn't such an importance as it is as you grow older. Mm-hmm. And I think every child is used to being out and running around 24/7. So from growing up, I was always out and about. So I was kind of used to it. My body could take it. And as we obviously went along, there's more commitments and a bigger ask from every team and club. So it was just about something, I suppose, over the last year, I started to realise is that I need to focus more on myself.
Okay.
I was kind of please everyone else and want to be at everything and be partaking in everything, because I'd be afraid in case, this girl would say she's not doing the runs today and she's going to start tomorrow, or she's lazy, she's not running, which, you know, girls aren't saying, but you're always going to have it in the back of your mind. It's not a nice feeling.
100%.
So yeah, look, I used to always try be involved in every single training session, and then I'd come to the weekends and I'd be feeling myself, get a bit tired, I suppose, and not performing to my ability. And I think that's something that's really, really stood to me, I suppose, in the last year or so. And I feel like that's why I'm starting to make headlines and starting to get recognised, because I've really took it into myself and put myself first and said, look, if I need to sit out today, I'm sitting out today. and just have to take it on the chin. If you're going to suffer from sport and you're going to excel in another thing, you just have to do it. And managers always say to their players, look, if you want to sit out or you need to sit out, do. But do they really mean it? That's a question. But look, you have to just trust them and you have to trust yourself. And I think they need to trust in you as well, because at the end of the day, it's all about the matches at the weekend, and that's what we're training for. It's not about who's the best in training. Obviously, you need to get good to get onto the team. But like, if you're performing in the matches, that's what counts.
100%. I like the way you said it there, kind of focusing on yourself. It was kind of like you're taking ownership of your body, because you're different to maybe, let's say, like me. Like if I'm just playing ladies football, I can do everything, whereas you need to balance in another sport and you've got other things going on, so you need to take control of that situation.
Yeah, and I think I actually Orla Farmer, she's a brilliant person to follow on Instagram.
Yeah, I watch all of her stuff.
Yeah, so like playing with her, and she's kind of a person that really looks into like life nearly and grabs it as it comes to you, and you see how far she's progressed. Like she's only literally done college, and she's in college about 8 years, and she always gets but like the way she carries herself and stuff, and you see this like within the older players that I've been surrounded with, how they manage their time, their jobs, and then be able to come out onto the pitch and perform is really admirable. So yeah, look, I think that was something that I really struggled with. And when you go to a strength and conditioning coach and they're with one sport, they're going to push you and push you and push you for that sport. And they are doing their job, but sometimes they just, I suppose, kind of forget that you're doing the exact same with the other sport. Yeah, that's something that I think I've really learned in the last couple of months, I suppose, mostly, that you need to look after yourself, because everyone does want a bit of you and everyone wants the best for you. But if you don't look after yourself first, they're not going to get anything. Yeah,
exactly. Kind of going back to your underage, I want to chat a bit about your career with Cork. I think it was All-Ireland titles at under 14, 16 and minor. Like, that's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, I actually don't think I ever lost a competitive game age with Cork until I hit against Dublin in the All-Ireland final, unfortunately, in 2018, which is kind of mad. One of my teams only ever lost in 2015 I think it was a Munster final that year. So my second year under 16. And I actually wasn't even playing that game. I was at the European finals, and that was the only game we ever lost as a team growing up.
That's mad.
Which is crazy. And I think it just shows the talent that Cork have in those 99 years and 98. It's huge, and it just shows like the potential that's coming through. You had the girls that won the 10 All-Ireland finals with Cork and stuff, and now you have a load of girls just developing and I suppose learning how to play with Cork seniors' name.
Exactly. Yeah, it's funny, it's that generation, 98, 99, 2000, 2001 maybe, they would have watched the 10 All-Ireland, so it's going to be really interesting when that age group comes in and comes into their own. Were you ever put under pressure by, not really managers, but was it ever kind of like, would you not just focus on football, or would you not just focus on soccer and give all your attention to it growing up?
Yeah, I actually kind of, I suppose it's probably the one question I always get asked: how do you do both? And I suppose a manager once said to me that I would be on an Irish team if I would be on his Irish team if I wasn't playing GA. And I think those things kind of stick to you, and they kind of question, should I be playing both? And obviously you want to get to the highest level in what you're doing and what you're playing. So for me, when those things get asked, you kind of question yourself. But again, going back to last year, I wanted to really prove that you can play at the top level and do both sports. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Both sports were going ahead, and I'd no other distractions, just to go hell for leather and try get to 2 All-Ireland, which we did do. So unfortunately the results weren't the way, but it just shows that I wasn't just, I suppose, part of the teams. I was a big part in both teams, and I was starting. So yeah, I have got it. But look, again, put yourself first and do what you want to do, and I think anything is possible when you put your mind to it.
Absolutely, I agree with that totally. Do you think, like, obviously there's huge crossover with ladies football and soccer, but do you think having the two sports kept it fresh mentally, because you're not going down, tunnel vision with football or tunnel vision with Gaelic? You get to kind of, let's say if you have a bad game of soccer, you go out and train with football, ladies football, the next day.
Yeah, I think that was actually really important to me. Like the day after we lost the cup final, I was out training next morning with the GA team, playing a 15v15. And like I knew some of the girls, obviously they went out and enjoyed their night. But you wake up that next morning and it's just you've no training that week. You've nothing to look at, you've nothing to put your focus on. Like it's nearly a 2 or 3 week build up and everyone's contacting you. There's a huge hype, your adrenaline's going and it's just such a big deal. And then the next day you're basically a nobody and you just have to, you wake up in your own house and you've nothing to do, no place to go, no one cares because you've lost.
Yeah.
It's a really lonely place. And especially in these times, you can't say, come on girls, we'll all go for lunch today. And like, you go home by yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely having turning and going to the GA pitch and seeing all the girls the next day, and they were all so focused on the final, obviously. That was nice to see. And then obviously after that, you go straight into Christmas and you get to spend time with your family that we hadn't seen either. So I suppose the way things fell for me, I didn't allow myself fall into that dark hole and be bottled down by it. I just kind of kept trying to see the positives, and I suppose my mom would run that into us every single day. She sent us quotes every single morning.
Oh, that's lovely.
Of the day. So she tries keeping us really positive, and I think that's really important, like, because you only live once, and like I just look back and say I played in 2 All-Ireland finals in the space of 7 days. Okay, I didn't win. It would have been amazing if we won.
Yeah.
But I still was there and I was still part of it in a horrible year as such. So yeah, I'm grateful I was grateful to have both teams, definitely.
Yeah. The quote thing from your mom is lovely. What kind of quotes would she send you?
I'll read out today's one there now for you.
Yeah, go on.
So today's one was, if you have to choose between being kind and being right, choose being kind and you'll always be right.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
Has this been a regular thing for a while?
Yeah, it has. She used to always kind of like tag us and stuff and put into our chat, but now it's been like the last, I'd say, couple of months, it's been like a daily thing. Like she'll find a quote and send it in.
That's
so
so
yeah,
lovely.
it's like we kind of laugh about it, but like we all still read it and take it into account every day, so it's nice.
Yeah, that is nice. Talking about your underage career, I'm interested to hear, you mentioned kind of that Ireland squad there and comments being made. Were you were involved in the underage Irish teams then as well?
Yeah, so my first Irish team that I suppose I got a sniff of was under 16 when I was only 14.
Oh wow.
And I remember I was crying. I didn't want to go up. I used to be afraid to go up because obviously the Dublin girls, they all knew each other and we're only down in Cork, and it was intimidating, I suppose. And I went up and I didn't do too bad. I didn't make the team, and I got called back up, and I was between me and another girl, and we were called before the session and said, whoever performs better today is going to be on the plane to Scotland next week. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go. Jamie Finn, who I play with now, was captain, and obviously like they were big names, like they'd been involved in the older teams the year beforehand and stuff, and Amanda McQuillan and stuff. And I remember after the session, the two of them came up to me and was like, you did really well today. And I remember going home being like, Dad, they told me I did so good, like I think I'm going to make the team, and I didn't. And the other girl made the team, and from that day it kind of stuck in my head that I'm never going to leave that happen again. And I went and I trialed for the 15s team that same year and got on it, and the next year I was of age of the 16s team, which would be in the team I didn't make, and I actually ended up making the 17s team, which would have been better because under 16 with Ireland, it's still a development kind of tournament, whereas under 17 you're playing European Championships. So to make a team that's going to a European Championships and then end up going to the European finals with that team when I'd been knocked off my original age, I suppose, in a way, was something that I was so driven to do. And when I got told like that I was going to be part of the 17s team when I just left the 15s, and there was only 3 of us and we were the youngest players, obviously. I think I was the youngest out of everyone that year. Was definitely a big moment for me, and I was like, this is what I want, and just went from there, luckily.
I love that, and I love the way the setback kind of reaffirmed what you wanted. Is that kind of setback the point where maybe hard work really started to kind of line with your passion for Gaelic football and soccer?
Yeah, I suppose training with the boys, if you're not as good as them, no one's going to ever really criticize you because they're going to say, sure, she's just a girl anyway.
Yeah.
And I suppose then when I started to, I suppose, realize that I had talent and that I could make it, and then get a feel, obviously, for wearing the Irish jersey, going to European finals, getting your name on jerseys, getting all these things. And it was just like, I suppose, like a glimpse of like a celebrity life, I suppose, at that age. And
Yeah.
I was only in junior cert at the time, and we were actually training in FOTA in the middle of my pre's, and I was like, I'm staying in FOTA, and I was training in FOTA. I was drive, get collected by my parents and drive up and do my pre and go back down and train. There was no focus on the pre's at all. But I was like, this is what I want. And from then it was just like, I was so driven to be in those Irish teams. And it was such a great environment. And it was always like, I have memories for life, and I still talk to all the girls, and it's just such a great buzz.
Yeah, it sounds like a fun environment. What was that like, kind of maybe a little bit older than that, when it started to kind of get not professional, but when Cork and the Irish soccer team started to kind of go down the tougher training routes and all this stuff? How did you find that those elite levels?
Yeah, I suppose like when you're in the Irish team, you train twice a day,
Mm.
which is it's a big step up. Now they've gone back to with the senior team, they train once a day.
Mm-hmm.
But I suppose when you come away from that 19th team, there's a big, huge gap to bridge to try to get onto
Mm-hmm.
that senior team. And there's hundreds and hundreds of players from Ireland, players living in England, that want to get in there. So it does, I suppose, it's hard. Like you're not like when you're going from 17s to 19s, it's only the 2 years, so you're only fighting a number of players. But when you hit that 19, you're fighting players from the age of 17 to the age of 30,
Yeah.
32 that want to get into that team. Um, so yeah, look, I think to be fair, I think it kind of fell into place as it was because I joined Cork City at 16, which was really young. It was the youngest you
Mm-hmm.
could join at the time. And I kind of just fell into it nearly growing up because all the players were much older. There was
Yeah.
only me and Daniel Burke were the only 16-year-olds, everyone else was 24. And on
Mm-hmm.
team nights out and stuff when we were 17 and 18 and we used to go with them, we'd have to be mature like them. We couldn't be a 16-year-old
Yeah.
messing because you would have been told go home. So yeah, look, I think just everything happened for a reason, and I grew up really fast, and
Yeah.
being involved in those environments, and then you start to realize this is what you want, and that you need to work even harder if you want to get to the top.
Do you attribute a lot of your success then playing with age groups that are older than you and learning from those older players?
Yeah, definitely. Like in the league now, you see the players that have been there for the last number of years, and you see how far they've progressed and how they can read the game and just all these little things.
Mm-hmm.
You could be the best player, but if you're younger and you don't have that experience will nearly beat you at times.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely learning from those experienced players is definitely something that I enjoy doing. And in training now, marking Pearl and stuff, you see little things that she has in her game, that she's learned over the years, how to defend against quicker players, more technical players, and just these little things. And you're always learning. So I love that.
Did you find when you made the jump, let's say to senior into county and kind of the older like National League squads for soccer, what were those little things that you picked up on that it was, oh, this is what it takes to be an elite intercounty or elite soccer player?
I suppose just commitment. Definitely within the GA. I suppose I was with Cork City from such a young age. I was kind of just like I
Used
knew
to
the
it, kind of.
ropes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I suppose when I got called into the senior team, you see the girls like Orla Finn will be there an
Mm.
hour now before training on the pitch shooting points.
Wow.
And you'd never ever be late. If training's at 10 o'clock, like you aim to be there for about 9:30. Like no question about it. Like if you come into the dressing room at 10 to 10, you're late.
Yeah.
And just these little things, I suppose, um, knowing your body, going into the physio, being extra early if you have physio,
Mm-hmm.
giving yourself the extra time and working on yourself again. That's a big thing that they do. And I suppose being in the right mind frame for training sessions. Yeah, I suppose that was probably the biggest step up. Everything else was just always the same, work hard. And I think that's nearly everything that all coaches will say, work hard will be talent
Mm-hmm.
all day long. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think we learn it every day. You can never work hard enough, I don't think.
I was going to mention your debut at Cork. It was half-time substitute and you come on and score 2-2, and then the following 4 games, yeah, you scored 4-9. Like that must have been dreams come true. Like.
Yeah, that was definitely a really exciting year. That match was only, I think it was after leaving cert maybe. And I remember Aoife told us all we could have the 2 weeks off, like focus on leaving cert. And I was like, no, like we need fresh air, like. And he was like, no, like I've told all leaving certs, you're allowed off. And I was only kind of brought into the team then, so I hadn't played any of the league matches, whereas the other girls had.
Okay.
So I was like, no, I'm gonna really just work hard now and stay for the 2 weeks and train. And I got my chance at half time in the Munster final, and I suppose coming on, and my first touch was a penalty. So I think if I didn't take it, people would have been kind of questioning it. So I kind of had to take it, which is probably the best thing that ever happened, because it settled my nerves. It allowed me to kind of say, right, you're good enough to be here.
Yeah, you belong here.
Yeah, and the rest is history, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. What's your mindset going into a game? Is there any, like, from what it seems like from out here, it's just goal, like you're just going for goal. What's your mindset going into a match, and how do you keep focused?
I suppose like I just want to be the best. Like I want to be the best on the pitch. And everyone does. And I think if you all have that mindset, then as a team collectively you'll get there. And yeah, look, I think you're only as good as your last game. So we can talk about all the games in the past, but it's the last game that everyone will look back on and criticize you for, compliment you for. So yeah, that's what I kind of do now going forward. I kind of say, look, you're as good as your last game, and people are going to be watching this game. They don't care about what happened last year, year before, or last week. Like no one remembers them. They'll remember the now and what you're doing now today. So yeah, we train hard enough week in, week out, and I think you owe it to yourself nearly to go out and put in a good performance for your team and for yourself. And
do you ever feel pressure to perform from other people, let's say maybe outside the team?
A little bit, yeah. But I think I put more pressure on myself than anyone put on me. So
okay.
I probably I'm a step ahead of them. But yeah, there's definitely pressure from people expecting you to perform, and if you don't, you're obviously going to be upset with yourself. But that comes with the game, and you learn to try put it to the side and park it, and that's just sport, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a real Irish thing, isn't it? We put so much pressure on ourselves. It's mad, like.
Yeah, definitely. But look, I think everyone that loves it wants to go out and play their best, and that's why we put pressure on ourselves, because we know what we're capable of ourselves, and we don't want to let ourselves down, and we're the ones that go training every week, no one else. So I think we always in that way.
Do you ever journal after a game, or kind of if you're feeling under pressure, or just anything? Would you ever kind of make notes or take down what went well or what didn't go well?
Yeah, definitely. I suppose I would set goals definitely at the start of every season, year, I suppose, and short-term goals as well, like for the week, just try to be productive. I wouldn't write too much. I suppose a weird thing that I do, I write poems when I kind of need to get out what I'm feeling. Like some people just write their thoughts and stuff, but I try to put into a poem, and some people listen to music and stuff, and that's just what I do. And yeah, look, I'd write down little things that I think I've done well at times or don't do well. But what I do is I'd watch games back with my dad and analyze them, and go through what I did well and what I can do better. Instead of saying what I did terrible. But he tells me that anyway enough.
Yeah.
But we'd go through the game the next day. And then just park it there and go for the next week.
Yeah, the poem is lovely. When did you start doing that?
Oh, I used to do that for years, since about fifth year, I'd say. Yeah, I always I don't know how I started doing it. I kind of started doing it actually with my friends as a mess.
Okay.
With the Cork City girls, they used to always be like, "You're so good at rhyming," and I'd be like, "Yeah, whatever." Like, and I'd like, I suppose, be messing and write them a poem or something. And we'd have a good old laugh off it, like funny things that they've done or memories they've made. And then I suppose I used to just kind of do it, like, I suppose, at night time, I suppose, as a way to kind of tune out. And then it just started happening that I was writing about games, about things that happened in my life off the pitch. So it's my little private, I suppose, space, and a little thing that I do for myself.
Yeah, that's lovely. It's unique because everyone has their own little ways. Like, I'll do something different, you'll do something different. Someone who's listening will do something different. Like, that's lovely. That's really cool to hear. I wanted to ask about the 2020 season. Obviously, at the beginning, we didn't know this was all coming, but when we went into lockdown, you started training. You started giving. Was it training sessions for kids?
Yeah.
Where did that idea come from?
So obviously I was kind of involved in the FAI summer camps and the Cork summer camps that Orla runs. And that's what I used to do with my summers. So I'd be on the pitch in the mornings till about 2 o'clock. You go home for a nap and then you'd be on the pitch training. And I suppose having so much free time and not having anywhere to go or no one to see, I kind of was like, what am I doing here, sitting here every day? I'd go out 3 or 4 days a week and train myself, but it wasn't this, that's all I was doing, and I was coming home again. So I was kind of, I suppose, like, why don't I just go out and give back? I would have loved to train with a player, a senior player when I was that age. So yeah, look, I just put it up on Instagram and Facebook and stuff and started reaching out to people, and within a week, God, I had 30, 40 kids coming out, and then
Wow.
to 60, 70. So it went a bit probably beyond what I expected. And then I just finished it, I suppose. Back in August, I did a little camp with everyone that was involved, and it was really nice to see everyone come out and support, and everyone seemed to enjoy it. And I definitely enjoyed it. Look, it was, you see girls that are training to get on the minor Cork team, and then you see girls trying to get onto the Cork City team, and Heidi Mackin there, she was out with me nearly twice a week, and her friend Love, and they were trying to get onto the Cork City team, and they were doing sessions with the academy, and now they're after signing for 17. So I suppose in a way it's kind of like, and they sent it to me and they were like, look, she's delighted, and I was delighted for them. And it was something that we did every single session, that was our goal. And obviously seeing kids that you trained achieve that is really nice to see.
Yeah, it gives you a bit of a boost as well, seeing their success and you playing a part in that. Yeah,
definitely.
that's really cool. What advice would you give to the likes of those girls at the sessions if they want to be in the position you are now?
I kind of say to them, I wish someone would have told me when I was their age to be selfish nearly. Like I would always say, when I speak to teams now or younger kids, or clubs, that no disrespect to the managers, but they always want you. They need all the players they can get. And you have to be selfish and say, I'm going to my soccer match today. And some managers will turn around and probably be like, I need you, or you're going to be dropped for the next game. But that comes with sport, and you have to learn from that. But I would definitely say, be selfish and do what you want to do, but you can't be selfish and be lazy and know that you're good. You have to put in the hard work and prove it to them that the next game why you deserve to be on the pitch. And I think that's something that is really important for players growing up. They need to start realizing how good they are and being confident in themselves, and then standing up to managers and saying, look, no, I need to look after myself today, and I'm going to play this match today. It's more important, and not feel like they let anyone down, because they don't. I know loads of the kids that come to me and have come to me put in so much effort, and they're afraid to let managers down, which is understandable, because I was the exact same. It's the last thing you want to do is let someone down. But I think it's important, if you have a goal, you need to go achieve it.
From our conversation, there seems to be that consistent message of being selfish, but there's also like taking control of what you can control. And that's only, like, I can only control me, I can't control you. And that's kind of it seems to be the message kind of coming through.
Yeah, definitely. Jess from Cork City last year used to always say to us, control controllables. And only from lockdown, that's what I've learned about myself, that I'm not selfish enough, and I was probably giving myself to everyone when I didn't have the time to give myself to everyone. And it probably bit me in the foot a few times. But look, we learn, and that's definitely what I've done over the last number of months now, is try to be that extra bit selfish and confident and believe in myself, because if you don't believe in yourself, no one else is going to believe in you. And I fully believe that.
Yeah, that's a good message for anyone listening. With the 2020 season, obviously there was no crowds. How did you find that without the supporters in the stands?
Yeah, look, it's obviously the atmosphere is kind of dead a bit. Definitely in the finals, it was very hard to kind of, I suppose, get going in a way. I suppose when people were bashing the goals and you've no one to kind of encourage you on, you can just hear your managers. That was hard. But I think when the game starts, you kind of just ignore it. And yeah, it obviously makes a huge difference. Like, you love having everyone there, and it's such a big day out for everyone. And leaving our house to go to a match, driving your own car, was weird. And not having my family would go to every single game, and there'd be 20 or 30 All Ireland finals, they'd all be everywhere, and just having that the no buzz, I suppose, around was a bit. But look, everyone was just so happy to be on the pitch, and
Yeah.
that was just meant so much to all of us. So we couldn't complain really.
Yeah, that seemed to be the message from a lot of players last year was they really enjoyed playing because they didn't think, like you probably didn't think in March, geez, like I'm going to get 2 seasons here.
Yeah, definitely. Like that's what I said from the start. If someone said in March you're going to be in 2 All-Ireland finals at the end of the year, I would have jumped on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, every player just enjoyed. I think last season was just so enjoyable because we really were privileged. Unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
obviously not all teams could get out and stuff, and we just felt so privileged that we could go out and train and
Mm-hmm.
play matches and be competitive and live our dreams really.
Definitely. I wanted to talk a little about, it was sort of like a golden week. Yeah, Cork City and Cork into All Ireland finals, scored both goals in the semi-final win for Cork City, and then the next day you scored a goal to beat Kerry, and then were called into the Irish squad. Like what was going through your head that week?
I suppose like that week, I think there was a lot of build up and people saying that I was playing 2 games, and obviously they were huge games. And there was a
Mm.
lot of hype about both games. And people saying, "Oh, will she be fresh, or is she going to be able to perform, or this and that and these?" And I kind of use that to my advantage as fire. And my parents always say to me like, if someone makes me angry on the pitch, I play 10 times better. And I think that kind of bugged me in a way because I want to show younger people that you can play 2 sports and you can perform the best. And I kind of felt if I went out there and played shocking in both games, people are going to say, "Look, we told you so."
Yeah,
So yeah, I really kind of look back in that weekend and say, "I told you so."
yeah.
Showed again that I'm not just a part of the team. I played a good role in both codes, and I suppose I'm grateful that both managers trusted me to go out for both games and play both games and last match. But that's what it's all about. Look, we're in a pandemic and I had 2 huge games in the one weekend. And then obviously got on the Irish team, and it was just such a proud moment for me and my family.
I think you were trending on Twitter there for a little while as well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
How do you kind of mentioned it there, how do you balance the ups and downs of having this golden week, being trending on Twitter, to losing both finals?
Yeah, I suppose I went from that golden week to getting named in the Irish squad, and then I was left out of the final squad and lose 2 All-Ireland finals. Um, and the hype doesn't last long, but the lows
Mm.
last longer than the hype. So it's as a sports person, it's hard to take those moments.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and definitely the lows last longer and stay with you longer than the hype.
Mm-hmm.
I think that whole hype was done within the Wednesday or Tuesday, and the lows last. They're still with me, and I still think about them, and it is upsetting. And obviously, as a sports person, you want to be winning and you want to be at the top of your game. But again, this is all part of it, and you have to learn from it. And I'm definitely learning from it, and it, I suppose, gives you a bit of fire in your belly, and you don't want to leave it happen again. And you can only keep controlling yourself and doing what's right for you. And I'm definitely trying to push on forward now with myself and focus more on myself. And I think that, as you said, that has been my message. I kind of have realized that I need to focus on myself to get me to where I want. And I can't be worrying about others. And I still do, and I still obviously I'm definitely 100% for shells, but that's why I
Mm-hmm.
think I just made the move now to focus on shells and try something new. And people have said, "Have you done it just to be with a better team or to try to get on the Irish team?" And that's not it. It's just a fresh start. I could stay
Yeah.
with Cork GA in Cork City for the rest of my life, and I would be the happiest person ever because I loved it. Um, but life's too short, and I feel like I needed to just go and explore. And moving up to Dublin now for the summer would be another. I've never lived out of home, so that's another step. And I wouldn't be able to do that if I was playing with Cork City or Cork GA. So all these little things play a role, and I'm just excited for what's ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think maybe last year, you kind of mentioned previously, do you think you spread yourself too thin maybe, and that kind of played into your decision as well?
Um, I don't know. I suppose I enjoyed it. I think I did well. Um, got to 2 finals. What more? The icing on the cake obviously would have been to make an Irish debut or to get into the squad. And
Mm-hmm.
win the 2 finals. But other than that, as a person that's playing two codes, you can't go much further than what I got besides winning.
Yeah.
But again, look, I'm only part of two teams, and in both tournaments, there's over 20 teams involved. So I really do count myself lucky to be involved in them, and it's definitely a moment and something that I'll hold on to for forever.
Do you have any regrets looking back on your career so far at all?
I don't think so. No, I think I've done everything I want to do.
Yeah.
When I was way younger, I set out goals myself was to play in the Aviva, playing Croke Park, and make the Irish team. And I've been up there with the Irish team. I've played in the Aviva, played in Croke Park, and now I suppose my final thing is to do is just get a cap with Ireland, and then hopefully go back and win an All Ireland medal with the Cork GA team. And I've nearly everything done, and I'm only 21. But look, no, I definitely have no regrets. But if I did have to have a regret, I suppose it would just be not realizing that I need to focus on myself and not try and make everyone else happy.
What's that like? Because you had a smile on your face and you're saying, I did everything that I dreamed of growing up. What's that like, being able to like nearly tick the box and be like, I did that, and I did that?
Yeah, it's quite amazing. I suppose I kind of forget that I am 21 because I've been playing with such older players and stuff, and grown up, I suppose, a bit faster than a 21-year-old. And I suppose nearly missing out on those college life as such.
Yeah.
But I've had a different college life to others, and a life that has been unbelievable. Like I think I've done things in the last 6 or 7 years that people would dream of doing for a lifetime.
Yeah.
And yeah, look, but I'm a high achiever, and I'm really ambitious, I suppose. And I don't want to stop here. Like I want this to be the start. And over the last year, we've all been probably in the lowest of our lows, and had toughest times ever. And now you see everything opening up, and I'm just so excited just to go do everything. And I'll definitely aim to achieve all of them. And hopefully I'll speak to you then soon, and I'll be able to say I have made my senior debut, or I have won in Croke Park, or one of those anyway, for sure.
Definitely. We'll definitely have to repeat the conversation. In 10 years' time, if I was to message you and say, oh, Saoirse, will you come on? And we're having the chat. What do you hope to be able to say, or where do you see yourself maybe in 10 years? Can you look that far ahead, first of all, probably?
I can't even look into tomorrow. But yeah, look, 10 years time, I'll come back to you and I'll say I fully believe myself now, that I'll have an Irish senior cap. And I'd love to come back and try get back on the Cork team and win an All Ireland with them. 10 years, I'd be 31. That's pushing it now, but who knows?
Yeah.
Who really knows? And that's what I would definitely love to come back and say I've an All Ireland medal in soccer and GA, and I've
Yeah.
Irish senior caps, and maybe even play abroad. That would be the icing on the cake, really.
Definitely. That'd be a nice legacy to leave. In terms of improving now, don't give too much away, but what are you hoping to improve on? And because I get the sense you're extremely motivated, so you're not done yet. So what are you hoping to improve?
I suppose just myself. As I keep going back to, I've worked on myself now for the last year. And it's something that I really struggled with was my fitness. I think I'm really good technically and all, but I never was at the top of the fitness, and it was always bothering me because, again, going back to, people are going to say you're not running or you're not doing this, and that used to kind of nearly upset me in a way, because I knew I wasn't the fittest, but I knew I was fit and I could do the runs if I needed to.
Yeah.
So yeah, over the lockdown, my dad just pushed me, my brother and sister so hard, and got really fit, and I want to just keep improving on that now. And I definitely don't like the running, but when you see the rewards on the pitch, it's worth it. So that's definitely a starting point for me, and I think the future is bright, definitely, and I hope I can I suppose help Shelbourne do big things this season, and that's the aim at the moment, and that's the focus for the summer months ahead.
What's going through your mind then when you're going through grueling running sessions and you're like, I don't want to be here and I could be at home watching Netflix or something?
Probably the cake. I probably ate. Yeah, look, when I'm doing the sessions, like, and I just try to say to myself, look, there's hundreds of players out there, and they're running faster than you right now, and they're fitter than you right now. So like, if you want to give up, then give up and go home. I need another cake. But if you want to try to be the best, then you have to keep going. And my dad definitely doesn't leave us stop, and makes us go till the very end. But
Yeah.
once you're done that session, like there's actually no better feeling. There's no therapy like it in the world, I don't think. After a hard session that you've completed, you just feel so accomplished. And I think that's, even though it's disgusting thinking about going out doing it, but once it's done, it's like there's no therapy for it. It's just amazing.
Yeah, that's an interesting mindset for some of the younger players. Listen, it's hard not to mention, like, you had interest from the UK clubs and you want to go far in soccer, but AFLW, is that something maybe down the line?
Yeah, look, again, COVID played kind of a role in my decision there.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, it's definitely something that um is amazing. Going over visiting was amazing. It's something that I'll definitely look at as well. But look, there's so much options out there for everyone. And I'm only taking it day by day, and I'm focusing on shells right now, as I just said, and that's the aim for now.
Yeah, sure. You're only 21. There's plenty of time to be going to Australia after Shelbourne. I'm going to move on to the sideline sevens. The same 7 questions at the end of every podcast. Question 1 ties in with your mum nicely. What is your favourite quote?
My favorite quote. It's probably create your own reality.
Okay, where did that come from?
I suppose I used to always kind of say it, that I'm going to create my own reality. I brought out my own clothing brand, and it's all
I
about
meant
creating.
to I meant to mention that I have it listed. If you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's just called freedom because my name is Saoirse, and it was something that I kind of looked at doing off the pitch, kind of again, I suppose getting something, a hobby that is away from the training field. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I just said, why not? What's there to lose? Again, life's too short.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have a book that I got that says create your own reality. I have a necklace that says create your own reality. And yeah, and I've a wall full of quotes up there that um definitely have it mentioned in there somewhere. But yeah, look, just you are you and you can control you, and I always go by that. And the back of my jumpers say create your own reality and stuff. So yeah, that's definitely my favorite.
Question 2: best sporting event you've been to, and we'll start as a player. What's been your favourite event or match to play?
My favorite match to play in. Probably, actually, no, not probably, definitely. Against England in Turner's Cross in 2015. And scoring against England to get us into the European finals. I had my whole school there, my whole family there, and it was unbelievable.
Yeah, that's what you were dreaming of.
Yeah, definitely.
What's your favourite then as a fan? Is there any particular standout match?
Um, as a fan, probably going to Croke Park, the All Ireland finals. There's nothing beats All Ireland final day.
Yeah.
Walking down to Croke Park, going to the pub beforehand with everyone. Huge crowds of people gathered, and then obviously the buzz. And after then trying to chase down players, trying to find everyone the next day and stuff, just class.
Yeah, nothing beats it, I'd say.
Yeah, nothing.
Biggest setback so far in your career?
Probably my ACL injury. I struggled with that a bit. I was lucky when it happened. It was at the end of the season, so I only
Okay.
missed the start of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but just I suppose I was never used to training by myself and stuff, and getting such a big injury, and having to go train by myself and go to the gym every day got a bit boring, I suppose.
Yeah.
That was a setback, obviously. Um, but again, in the same way as a setback was probably such a huge step for me because I learned so much about the gym, so much about rehab.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, it's probably not getting onto the Irish team and getting so close but so far. But yeah.
Did you find the ACL injury tougher mentally or physically?
Probably a bit mentally. I found it just draining, I suppose, like coming around Christmas time and everyone's on their off season and they're allowed, I suppose, take a couple of weeks off and a couple of days off, and I'm here and I have to go to the gym by myself. It was like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Yeah.
I just wanted a day off. And then obviously training by yourself, you're pushing yourself obviously, but there's going to be some days that you don't push yourself as hard and you think you are. But I found that hard. Now, to be fair, we used to train in Rochestown Park, and I'd see a lot of the Cork girls, even Ify be down there training himself. So that was kind of nice that you'd see a few faces down there. But it was the days that there'd be no one around, and you really are on your own, I suppose, in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, once you get back on the pitch and you have everyone around you supporting you and you're running again, you just can't wait to get back playing.
Yeah, those lonely days are made up when you get back in the team environment. Kind of on the flip side then, a bit more positive, what's your biggest achievement on or off the pitch?
My biggest achievement off the pitch is probably bringing out my own clothing line. And then on the pitch, I suppose probably winning FAI Player of the Year. That was a big achievement for me at a young age. So yeah, the two
They're
of those.
kind of they're the standout ones for now anyway. You're only 21 still.
Yeah.
Advice to your 18-year-old self?
I've said it already. Focus on yourself and what you want to achieve. And go chase your dreams. And
create your own reality. Yeah. Dream dinner guest and why?
Dream dinner guest and why?
You can pick a few, I don't mind.
God. Probably Michael Jordan.
Yeah. Did you watch The Last Dance?
Yeah, unbelievable.
Class.
Yeah, probably Michael Jordan. I think just his mindset and stuff and watching him training. And when my dad read his book, my dad was like, he kind of reminds me of you, like things I used to do. And I used to wear number 23 when I was I used to play basketball.
Yeah.
I never knew Michael Jordan wore 23 until someone's mom was like, you're wearing Michael Jordan's number. And I was like, what? I hate wearing 23 until she said that. I hate it. Okay. Like, because down, like obviously everyone wants to be like number 1 to 10 or whatever, like in soccer, and 1 to 50 GA. And I was like, 23, like. And then when she said that, like I was like, I am the bee's knees. Like
I am Michael Jordan.
I am him. I used to love it then. I used to think I was class going out to the court, my red Jordans on, and yeah, he's definitely a hero.
Yeah, 100%. What was your biggest takeaway from The Last Dance out of interest?
Probably his mental drive.
Yeah.
Just the way he was able to just get in the zone and go do things. And he just lived such a hectic life and stuff. And even watching the other athletes, like the way they deal with things and how they're so different, and everyone is so different, and I suppose living such a big lifestyle. But yeah, definitely his mental drive was incredible.
You mentioned the lifestyle there. I thought it was mad. I think with some of the later episodes, it was like him having to be cooped up in his hotel room because he couldn't leave because everybody would just swarm around him because everybody knew who he was. Like that must be, I can't even imagine what that's like. Yeah,
like honestly, you'd nearly feel sorry for me, but like I would actually hate that because I couldn't think of anything worse, like not being able to go for a walk without someone coming up behind you, and like in a way you couldn't have a down day because people would be questioning you, and like you have to pretend you're happy all the time, and like no one's happy every day. Everyone's going to have harder days than the others, and I think that must be really mentally draining for him.
Yeah, definitely. Last question, if your life was a book, what chapter would this be called?
The beginning.
Okay, so we definitely have big things to expect now coming forward. You're putting pressure on yourself again.
No, I think I thrive on pressure, so hopefully anyway.
Okay, so you see the results when you put pressure on yourself.
Yeah.
So look, I just want to wish you the best of luck with everything, and thanks a million for coming on. I know you're very busy, and we'll definitely keep in touch, and we'll do this interview again in 10 years time.
Definitely, no worries. Thank you very much, Orla.
A massive thank you to Saoirse for joining me today. I thoroughly enjoyed our chat, and I just want to wish her the best of luck both on and off the pitch. Her new clothing line, Freedom, will be linked in the description box below. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts and you did enjoy the episode, be sure to leave a rating and a review. If you're interested in starting up your own podcast, be sure to get in touch with the Primal Productions team over on Instagram @PrimalPro.